for me as a writer, but it was cathartic for me to write because it was a form of therapy and to come to my own terms on things that I was dealing with within the family structure in my life.
And when did you start writing again?
Well, like I said, I started with probably, I would say about 2021. I mean, it was about the same time that I started Music of Life, to be exact. And I think I put Returning Home on the back burner for a while. I think I had like maybe the first chapter written, and then I went on and finished the Music of Life, and then came back to this novel years later. So that's how that came about.
Were you close to your grandfather?
Very, very close. Close to both of them.
Both of them.
My dad's father died when I was about 15, and that one was hard. But I also didn't have a very full understanding of it. At that age, and then I was older when my mom's dad died, and was able to understand it a little bit more. But very, very close to both of them.
And what was the main point of this book?
It was about a grandson who realizes that when his grandfather is dying, this man that he once revered but then he learned to hate, that all this that he had about his grandfather was under misconception. It was under poor assumption that he didn't understand everything. He didn't understand the truth about why his grandfather did what he did in his life and how things turned out. And the grandfather, once he finds out he's dying and he knows he's not going to live for very much longer, tries to set things right with his family, and he tries to see some things for the last time, and he wants his grandson to share that with him. And so, of course, over the course of the story, the grandson realizes all this, that he wasted all these years hating his grandfather for all the wrong reasons.
Okay.
And, has to deal with the regret at the end and try to enjoy the last few moments that he has with his grandfather, and hopefully learn from the wisdom that his grandfather does pass on to him at the end. So that was the overall theme of Returning Home. And the metaphor behind the title is, I think, at some point in our life, we all return home. Whether we go to our birthplace or where we grew up. But returning home is also mean that we return to our family, that we return to the idea of what our family is, the people that do truly give us strength. And it's a thing that's been done and done again, but this is, my own way of looking at it, and, a little bit different than I think what other people have, written.
And what did you want readers to get from this piece?
I want them to understand that, family is the most important thing in our lives. However our family comes to us, it doesn't even have to be blood. It could be a best friend. And I'm very lucky because I've got blood relatives that I'm very close to, and I've got a best friend who in a lot of ways is smarter than me, and that I've known for over 20 years. And that's my family, as well. But and in fact, another aspect that is also great friends that I grew up with. One that I had not seen in 10 years, but I recently just also connected with. And in doing that, we're all older now, and we're in our 30s and have gone on to careers, and we're not those same stupid rebellious kids we were in high school. But again, that's another aspect of family that I don't know what I would do without. So I want people to understand that, don't lose this. Treasure your moments with your family. And kids, we can learn just as much from our grandparents as we can from our parents. And even if we do come from a tragic, broken home that, we can't wait to get away from our family, there's always somebody that adds something to our lives that makes the difference. And that also becomes part of your family. Treasure the moments you have with that, because they don't last forever.
That is so true. Do you think that the greatest success in our lives is family?
Absolutely. Because family, while they may be the first to let you down sometimes, they'll always be the first to pick you back up. You know, one of the unique things about, you know, my family, and I've got this great, interesting dynamic, especially with my own parents that, you know, who have been divorced for so many years. You know, they are truly better people by not being married to each other, but they're very wonderful people in their own way. And I'm also very lucky that I have such a wonderful stepmother too, and not everybody gets that. But, you know, despite everything, no one has ever lost faith in me. I may not always agree with what I've done, and, you know, even my father might have been shaking his head growing up like, good God, what is the little bastard doing now? You know, I didn't teach him this, you know, it's his mother's fault, and, you know, my mother may be saying the same thing like, well, see, don't listen to your dad, that's why I divorced him. And that's a joke, they're not really, you know, like that, but sometimes growing up I felt like that's what they were thinking. But in their own way, I have never been without, you know, the love of my parents and overall my entire family. Never. And that is, you know, how I am very, very, you know, fortunate. So it definitely makes a difference in our lives and definitely adds to the success that we can have. Because if you've got a good, strong network that's always behind you, and, you know, I don't know anything about your family, but I'm sure you've got a mother that has never lost faith with you and is excited that you do this and, you know, will be the biggest champion of everything that you do.
Always.
Yeah. You know, that makes all the difference in the world. And again, you know, that's what I want people to see in returning home. You know, no matter what the tragedies are, no matter what bad stuff has happened, the good stuff can always overlook that. So.
Well, moving on to another one of your books, Sex Games, probably your most popular book.
Yes, and I wonder why.
I wonder why. What is it like having a book banned or censored by organizations?
Well, that's kind of surreal in a way because, you know, you, as a writer at first, you want to be loved by everybody. You want everybody to go to your book and say, God, this is the greatest novel I've ever written, and they're going to go recommend it to all their friends. And at one point, if somebody hates your book, with, you know, and I'm not saying you should pay attention to critics. I think they're paid to hate your book, so I don't, they can say what they want. But, you know, other readers, if they hate it to the point that they're calling it trash, you know, there's a part of it that it kind of hurts a little bit because you sweated blood and tears to write this book and stayed up long nights and stressed out about it, that, you know, put everything you are into this book, and then somebody hates it, then, you know, you feel like you're insulted. But at the same time, when it's narrow-minded fanatics that hate everything in life, you know, you have to take it with a grain of salt. And it also kind of brings a smile to my face because I think there's a, not that I'm attacking Christians. Everybody always thinks I'm attacking the Christians when I'm on my radio show, and I'm not. I'm just, there's fanatics in every group. But the fanatics that went after this book when it came out, you know, these Christian, narrow-minded, you know, people, it actually brought a smile to my face because I thought, wow, I'm pissing these people off. I must be doing something right. So, surreal in its own way, but also great because, you know, if these people never shut up about your book and hate it, you know, that's marketing you can't pay for. So we're very glad that they did that. And I also, you know, want to tell them if any of them are actually listening to this interview, keep hating me. You're helping me out.
So what about it gets it banned? What makes it censored?
That part that's what I don't understand because, you know, I get the book cover, you know, I get this, that, you know, it looks kind of erotic and it's got the word sex in it. We got many books like this. Has anybody ever seen romance novels? I mean, good Lord, it's like Cinemax softcore porn. I'm romance novel. But I think they looked at this book and just decided that, you know, it was erotic, that it was bad, without ever having read it.
So you don't think they even read it?
No,
Okay.
If they had read it, they wouldn't have banned it. I mean,
Just the cover and the title.
I think the cover and the title alone, but you know, the title is a metaphor like everything else. It's a metaphor for the games that people play trying to find love in the modern age. I mean, that's the center of the story. So, I couldn't tell you. I don't know what makes people like or dislike